Hey everybody, welcome to our August Community Roundtable. I have Miphon with me on the phone. Miphon, say what's up, man.
Hey guys.
We are super excited about this roundtable because we have so much cool stuff to show. Before we get started, I want to make sure my levels are good. My music is probably a little high. Let me mess with the mixer here and turn that down. Let's see here. People want to see your beautiful face, Austin. Wave, there you go. There he is. Level designer slash everything artist. So, okay. Are the sound levels good? You guys in chat? Okay. Sounds good, sounds good. Alright. We have a lot to talk about. I'm going to give you guys a disclaimer. We are like in full feature development, which means like just about everything is broken. So, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, we need to patch everything together so that we can actually have an alpha. So, just kind of the disclaimer when we get to our show and tell section that things are going to be a little bit rough, would be the best word. So, I guess the most exciting thing to talk about is our alpha announcement. You guys can see that we're naming Alpha 3 the final alpha, which Alpha 3 just doesn't have like a very good marketing punchy sound to it, so like the final alpha just kind of has this like, just sounds better, but it's still Alpha 3. The big difference between Alpha 2 and Alpha 3 is the, you know, I can turn this down a little bit, it'll help. Let's see here, that might be better. Still feel like I have to talk over the music. So, the big difference between Alpha 2 and Alpha 3 is that Alpha 2 was very much a combat focus test. Like, we were rearranging, changing a lot of things, and it wasn't really like a fully playable game at that point. It was, people played it like a playable game, but it had so many things. Oh, I'm too loud. Okay, hold on. It just had so many things from Shards Online that were taken out. Oh no, audio bowed. Okay, let's see. Be loud, no more. Am I good now?
Are we back?
Better, better. Yeah, you're back, Jeffrey.
Yo.
And I also have Cade here. Cade, say hi.
Hello.
All right. Okay, so the big thing about Alpha 3 is we're going for that kind of like fully well-rounded game experience. We plan to open all the dungeons. We open most of the new Celador world. You know, that might be something that'd be worth talking about now, because we're not going to show all of New Celador that we're going to be opening up. So it might be good to pump you guys or prime you a little bit with the actual map. We can talk a little bit about it. Let's see here, New Celador map. Let's open this up. Let's see how this looks on screen. Okay, so for those of you who are new, Alpha 2 had, we will take questions in Twitch and possibly from the Discord channel, but it's easier to just give them to us in the Twitch channel. We'll probably wait until the end of the show and tell to start taking questions. So, because there's a very good chance that we'll answer your question in the next 40 minutes or so. Okay, so those of you who weren't around, Alpha 2 was the Barren Lands, which is this deserty area here, and the Upper Plains, which is this region here. So, what we're doing with Alpha 3 is we're opening the Black Forest, this area here, which is beautiful. We're opening the Southern Hills, right here, which is a guaranteed guard protection area, and it also has your city of Valis, which is going to be our second starting city. And the Southern Rim, which connects the Barren Lands to the Southern Hills. So it's this area here. The Southern Hills is very much mostly housing. There's not a lot of content there. There'll be some cool camp spawns and stuff that show up there, and you have your waterfall. But there'll be lots of cool points of interest, places to hunt in Valis and also in the Black Forest. And we'll be opening up dungeon entrances, right? So we'll have 5 world dungeons at Alpha 3. 3 of them will be the ones you guys saw from Alpha 2, which is that kind of like standard like undead catacombs kind of look to it. And then we're going to have 2 new ones, which are really cool, unique styles. Unfortunately, we're not quite ready to show those. Sigmund's talking about the security zone. So yeah, so the upper plains and the southern hills will really be the only areas where there's guaranteed guard protection, which means that, you know, somebody tries to attack you, they'll get kind of insta-whacked. Then, you know, as you get out of there, there's areas that are kind of guard patrolled, where there's a lot of towers that you can run to for help. There's no guaranteed protection. But, you know, hopefully you're close enough to a guard tower. If you get into trouble, you can run to one. So I'm sure there'll still be PvP activity in that area, but it'll be a lot harder to pull it off, assuming that people can kind of jump on their horse and run. Then you get out here where there's much less guard towers. We may sprinkle a few guard towers out here. We haven't fully decided. But you're kind of out in the just kind of unprotected lands where there's really no guards. Austin, all right, I'm not wait till the end for questions. All right, so I was going to ask about the swamp house because I want to know too, but we'll get to that. So, anything else about the map we want to talk about, Jeffrey, before we jump in?
No, not really. I mean, I just elaborate on because I know Sigmund's always eager to know about the guard zones. We've moved away from talking about it in terms of specifically zones anymore. We want it to feel and very much be like when you're running around, you'll be able to tell by your environment and by the presence of guards. I mean, basically just think of it as the greater the presence of guards, the greater your safety. So you'll kind of know when you play. We don't want to partition it. We don't want to partition it into like, this is the good zone, this is the bad zone. You'll know. There
is the guaranteed guard protection, which that's the only thing that actually has a zone. Once you get out of that, then the zones kind of don't mean much anymore.
Sure.
So another cool thing that I can announce here is that there is no more void surrounding Celador. We're replacing it with an ocean. And I'm waiting for the chat to say, does that mean we're getting boats? Wait for it. Wait for it.
Boats confirmed.
There's no boats in Alpha 3. I cannot say whether or not we will have boats in Steam, but as of right now, there will be ocean, at least, and shores. The reason for that was really we felt like the void in between the land masses was kind of immersion breaking. It didn't really it just didn't work right. Just wasn't a big fan of it.
Are we going to keep calling the ocean the void?
Yeah, will no longer be called the void, right? This map needs an update. The newer maps, like when I get into Black Forest and Upper Plains, I'll show you guys the map in game. It does have the ocean on the map. So
confirm the void is becoming the ocean.
Pretty much. Okay, let's start the show and tell. Now, I'm going to warn you guys, I can't show you everything. There's a lot of things that are not... There are a lot of things that are not ready to be shown. And I also want to try and avoid... We're going to show you some stuff that's not unpolished, but there's a lot of stuff that, like, in the next 3 to 4 weeks is going to be, like, from what it looks like now, which is cool, to just, like, downright amazing. So we're not going to show you guys the Southern Rim. There's just some areas that we're just kind of stay away from because they're still kind of in development. But one of the cool things I'd like to show off is the... Let's get to here. Hold on one second, guys. We've got a character creation that's more like what you would expect in this type of game. So in Alpha 2 and even in Shards Online, the character creation customization was like in-game with these kind of like half-baked windows. And I just never really liked it that way. So here we can just make a character here, and we'll show you guys what it looks like. One of the things that the admins are going to like is that the character creation process is now fully moddable. So they can do like class selection in the character creation flow. They can do all sorts of really cool things in their mods. But I'll show you our default kind of like Legends of Aria character creation. I name my character Noob. So here's where you change your appearance. You can change your body type, which also kind of has like some facial hair options. You can flip between male and female. And so I'm just going to make a male character here. Let's make this spray tanned Donald Trump looking guy. Alright. Next step is starting gear. So we're moving away from using the term profession because I feel like it kind of locks people in. It makes them feel like they have to follow a certain path. So one of the ideas that we decided on was you will no longer start with skills. When you create your character, you start with 0 skill in everything. So it really it reinforces the open-endedness of the character progression. So all this is doing here is just whatever you're going to start with. So it's really just kind of like your starting clothes, you know, just to give all the new characters coming to the world some kind of uniqueness. We don't want all the characters looking exactly the same. So let's see here. I'll make a mage. Here you pick your starting city. So the city of Valis is down here. Elder Village is up here. For right now, we're planning to go with 2 starting cities for Alpha 3. There's a couple other small towns in the game. You have the Outpost over here, the Oasis, I'm sorry. The reason why we don't want Oasis as a starting city is it really doesn't make sense to start a noob character in a PvP area. Like, I really don't see a lot of people doing that in this style game. Like, you're going to at least want to get some skill before you go out there.
Yeah, you'd really be out of mistakes.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's also the the Outpost in the Black Forest, which we will have a chance to show you guys today, which is over here somewhere. But here, I'm just going to start an Elder Village. Fan favorite. There's no game sound. Let's see why that is. Hold on a second. Let me tweak the volume mixer here. Where's my sound? Oh, I bet you it's in the settings. Settings. Yep, right here. Does that sound? It's quiet. Hold on. One of these will do it. Can have sound. Why is it?
Will items be placeable on the ground like QO was? Indeed. It's been that way since... It's always been that way.
Okay. For some reason the town music's not playing. You guys see that we have this little wisp guy following us around. So this is kind of the new redesigned new player experience. You can talk to him by clicking the help button up here. The reason why we don't want clicking on the guide to open the dialogue is because when you're in combat and things get hectic, you'd end up opening a dialogue with them all the time. So you can open this thing here and you can talk to your guide. And you can ask him questions, right? So what should I do? How do I learn abilities? Whatever. You can also ask him about locations. So you say, I'm looking for somewhere to hunt. You say, let's go to the sewers. He'll throw a waypoint on your map. So you can go to the map. And you can see there's the waypoint for the sewers. And once you get there, it'll go away. You can also tell your wisp to go away, but keep him around. So right here, if you say sounds good, he'll stick around. If you say I no longer need you, then you kind of opt out of the new player experience. So if I say sounds good, he goes away, but I can summon him again by clicking that. So it's just a cool way to have some guy that you can ask questions, and as you walk around, he's going to kind of give you pointers and stuff as well. Like I can show you if we go over to the forge. I think that's the only one we have set up right now. But if I go to the forge, la-ti-da, he should say something about the forge when I get over here. There he goes. He said, the town forge is available for anyone who wants to practice their blacksmithing. So, even though we've moved blacksmithing to the anvil. Anyways, that's basically the basics of the new player experience. We really wanted to move away from, for those of you who have been around since Shards Online, we had a bunch of new player quests. And the problem with it was it kind of tricked people into thinking it was a quest game, and it really just didn't work. So I think the new player guide, as we start to flesh out the kind of things that he says when you move around, we like to have him highlight parts of your UI and kind of explain things. How far we get with that at Alpha 3 is kind of to be determined. I mean, we're going to go much further with it between now and Steam. So yeah, you can see now the prestige abilities are down here from the beginning. They used to just not show up and you'd only see your weapon abilities. So the reasoning for this is you're going to get your prestige abilities much sooner now. One of the problems with Alpha 2 was prestige abilities was like an end game concept. So if you chose a warrior, you would only have 2 active abilities for quite a long time. So what we decided to do is break them out into 3 levels. So any prestige ability that you might get has 3 levels. I'm going to just use a command right here to make a book. So this book right here, this is the destruction ability. They're found, some of the level 1 abilities will be purchasable in town. And so other abilities you'll have to go out and quest for, adventure for, right, Jeffrey?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
And so you cannot learn Destruction 2 or Destruction 3 until you've learned the previous one. So so you'll have to kind of like level up your abilities. And the book will also require you have to visit a prestige trainer. Let's see if we can find the trainer for that book. I think if you examine it, it tells you, okay, I need a sorcerer trainer. Let's go down here. Are you on as a god, Miphon?
I am.
You want to give me a horse?
No. Ah, come to you now. What's up with your sound?
We're not just getting music. It's like you can hear my footsteps and stuff. Just don't have the town music playing.
It might have been because you landed there as opposed. Oh no, you spawned there. Yeah. Maybe try leave the gates and see if.
Well, I mean, it's not new, right? It's this. Right now, all your village music is the same. We have a bunch of new music tracks which we want to show off. Something buggy about the table here, so don't worry about that. Here's the Master Sorcerer. So if I give him this book,
where'd the table go?
Are you here to train the ways of Sorcerer? Yes. And you choose the book. And you say confirm, and there you go. Unlock Destruction 1. So the skill requirements for the abilities go up as you go up in levels. So Destruction 2 requires more skill, Destruction 3 requires even more. But the idea here is that after playing for a few hours, you should pretty much have all your level 1 prestige abilities filled out. I can't tame it. Can you tame it and transfer it to me? So yeah, so it's going to be
now because I can hear music.
It's going to be a lot better that way, I believe, to kind of give warriors 5 abilities to work with, kind of right off the bat, because that was one of the big complaints about Alpha 2 was you really only had 2 for a long time. So 5 abilities will make it feel a lot more interesting, and you can also switch weapons, so you'd have your first 2 can change based on what you have equipped. Rubber banding will continually get better. It's just a factor of the optimizations in the movement system. So hopefully it'll be better at Alpha 3 and even better at Steam. Oh, you gave me a pet. Thank you. Well, let's see if I step outside of town. Let's see if we hear the outside music. My guide's trying to keep up with me and he can't. The music for the plains is the new music, so hopefully we can hear it because it's pretty sweet. Yep, there it is. So we have some very, very talented music composers from Germany doing our music, and it sounds awesome. So the plains are very serene. I'd have to stand here for a while for you guys to hear like the really cool part of the music. I'm gonna put my magical guide away. Alright, so can you open a gate to the Barren Lands, Jeffrey, so we can hear the Barren Lands music?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we love the music. It just, oh, it's so good.
I got all confused then because I had to unmute Twitch to go out to hear the music as well. I got stuck in time.
Sometimes I just sit there and listen to the music while I'm working. It's just too good.
I know I went to. Hang on, which studio? So we're going to the Barrens.
Miphon's gonna get me a portal. There we go. So here's the desert music. Oh wow, you really sent me to the middle of nowhere. Go away, guide. I love the desert music, man. It's so immersive. Khal Drogo. Some of the other new tracks, there's one for the dungeons, which I don't think I can go there.
Song reminds me of Conan. I don't know, do we have any more, do you have any new tracks?
Yeah, we do. Hold on, let me turn the music off for the game and I'll just play it from the audio player. Because they're so good. Alright, turn this music off.
Yeah, well,
imagine we're in a dungeon.
I'll answer this question whilst you're finding it. Someone just said, will there be prestige abilities for hybrid builds? The way the prestige abilities work is they've got prerequisites. Some have very strong prerequisites, others don't. So there's no reason why you couldn't build, say, an archer warrior and pick 3 mage abilities or 3 warrior abilities. Right now there's only 3 abilities per trainer, but we're going to be expanding upon that. So yeah, it's I tend to explain it kind of like multi-classing in kind of like Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, you can do that. You're probably going to miss out on some of the really high requirement abilities. What's a good example? Like the knight's got shield bash. That's going to be like a very high requirement because we just want tanks basically having that kind of power. So, but I mean other things, sure, like taunt. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, here comes the dungeon music. Some of our dungeon music, anyway. I feel like I should be in a dungeon while playing it, but I'm gonna switch to my gameplay character while we're listening to this. It starts off very ambient, but then it comes to start to sound like music.
That's correct, the dude. Prestige is now an ability system based on its own kind of currencies of prestige points, which you earn. So yeah, it's got nothing to do with skills anymore. It's just got prerequisites and skills.
Check out my tank. So when we were setting up our characters to do our little like combat part of the show and tell, I was like, give me the best stuff. So I'm rocking the best armor right there. Do you want to spend some time talking about the armor changes? Because its item changes are quite extensive, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the way
do you want me to go to an anvil while you're doing it so I can kind of click around the anvil?
There's one in... Where are you spawning in?
Valis, yeah.
Yeah, there's a blacksmith in the corner.
Okay.
Head south.
Alright, let me give the disclaimer about Valis. Valis is not spawned yet. We threw some NPCs in there just for fun. But the city is not actually populated. The level designers finished it recently, so just keep that in mind. There's still a lot of polish to be done at Valis too, but this is the new starting city. Where did you say the anvil is? Is it at the blacksmith?
Yeah. If you turn right, and then head down to the south, you'll find it there. I love all the nostalgia. Everyone's like, oh, the music sounds like Diablo, or the armor looks like Baldur's Gate.
We take inspirations where we can get it. Love the dungeon music, man.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the items. The basic thing that we did with items is, many people here is familiar with UO.
Wait, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
The anvil is static. You want to make me a dynamic one over here?
Oh, sure. Oh, boy, now.
Go ahead. Keep talking.
Static items. So, yeah, lots of you are familiar with sandbox games. You're familiar with Ultima Online. You're familiar with these games tend to have very flat item economies, very flat item things, and which is cool. We've kind of maintained it, even though it doesn't sound like it. So to put it basically, what we've done is we've taken the strength out of characters and we've put it into items. And I know that innately kind of sounds a little bit strange, and but it's not at all in the kind of dynamic that you think it is. It's basically in these skill-based games you have a lot of skills which are filler skills, which basically take up skill points and may amount for your damage. And what we've basically done is we've kind of gone in between of. Hang on, let me get to.
You've got a forge.
The forge is the thing you craft from anymore.
Yeah, need an anvil.
Oh.
Yeah, so what we've done, we've kind of met halfway between. We wanted to get rid of filler skills. We wanted all the skills to be important choices for players. We wanted skills to be. We didn't want a lot of the kind of filler skills in this kind of game. So the way that items have changed is we've gotten rid of that dynamic where you can set your character. Like some players will put their character in a corner and level them up, and then once they've done that, that character was powerful, and they could pick up some plate armor and a katana and kill stuff. What we've basically done is we've rode back on that because we want players to actually invest in their gear a little bit more. Like we kind of have the idea, but like with full loot games, and we're gonna have areas with full loot. But
hang on one second. There's a question that's kind of important to answer. It's running at like 60 frames a second on my computer, so yeah, if it's choppy, it's the stream.
Oh,
okay, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, so can't remember where I was. Yeah, we've kind of
progression.
Yeah, we've leveled up the idea of how powerful items can be, but we've done it in the sense where it's only ever proportional to those filler skills that you would have had. So it allows players to invest in items. It allows players to see a sense of progression in their items, but we've kept it within constraints of being it's within the same power curve we anticipated our characters to be in anyway. We put the emphasis on the gear as opposed to the characters, so we hope that will combat people just it combats a lot of the idea of macroing. It combats a lot of the idea of makes gear more important as well. So like when you're going out and PvPing, there's quite a big scale in the importance of gear, and yet the actual power curve of the gear isn't as big as to damage the experience. So yeah, it's kind of difficult to say because
I think one thing that's worth talking about is the item progression really is just for skilling up your character. Once you're 6 times GM, you're basically going to be using either like the top tier or the tier below that equipment, right?
Yeah, well, the tiers of equipment we have 5 tiers of equipment, which kind of ties into the difficulty of crafting them, the difficulty of getting the resources for them. It goes from apprentice all the way up to master, so that's 5 different qualities of armor. And getting through apprentice and then journeyman and then expert is just part of leveling your character, really. And then once you get to expert and master, and then journeyman, expert, and then master, you can go out in PvP and PvE and journeyman. I mean, that's kind of the stuff you're willing to lose. And then expert's kind of the stuff where the competitive edge is kind of going to be, and master's going to be the whales.
So master is the stuff that you almost don't even want to go out and PvP with.
Yeah, master's the stuff that if you went out and PvP'd with it, you're not going to trounce everybody, but you're definitely going to have the advantage. But I mean, the value of that armor is going to be way above and beyond journeyman, and a couple of journeymen could sort you out. So, I mean, there's no fun. I mean, this is why it's good to have a bit of a power curve in a full loot game, because you kind of want there's kind of fun behind killing whales, as long as the whales aren't, committing genocide. So.
Yeah,
no,
I feel like showing the curve is kind of important, right? Because it's like it's almost like it's very steep in the beginning. So as you're progressing from like a newbie character to, let's say, playing for a few months, as you get new items, you're going to notice a big difference in power. But when you get to the top, it kind of levels out, right? And so like the top 3 tiers, there's not as much of a difference between them as there is between tiers 1, 2, and 3. So it really gives you a sense of like, in order to level up your character, you're going to have to get more gear throughout. But once you get to the top, it's just a matter of how much you're willing to lose. Sure.
Well, that's the important thing. When you're leveling up, players really want a sense of progression. They really want that next sword or that next piece of armor. And the difficulty is designers normally forego that in sandbox games because they worry about balance. I mean, we just balance it all out at the end. So as characters progress, you see a very, very clear progression through what you can kill and through how powerful you are and through we've got a lot of secondary combat stats now. A lot of people missed from Shards Online a lot of the depth of stats, and we've added quite a lot.
I just opened the character window if you want to talk about the stats there.
Yeah, so as you can see, we've added new primary stats, and we've got new combat stats. There's mage stats as well, which we need to implement in the UI, but yeah, so we've gone with stats. We want to make these very simple for people to understand, and the stats are completely derived from the gear that you wear, and then they are modified by your primary stats. But the primary stats are quite simple. Your strength is just basically your combat damage bonus. Your agility is the thing that mainly affects a lot of those stats. Your agility can influence your attack speed, it can influence your accuracy, it can influence your evasion, it can influence your crit chance. Intelligence is basically your mana and your spell damage. Constitution is just your health. And then wisdom and will are they're primary stats, but I think of them as secondary stats. Wisdom and will. Wisdom's mainly going to deal with your magic resistance, and it's mainly going to deal with magical effects, whereas your will is kind of like your saving throw in Dungeons and Dragons. It's the thing that's going to protect you from stuns. It's the thing that's going to protect you from traps. It's the thing that's going to protect you from. It's kind of your lucky dice. And the stat cap on these, the overall stat cap is 150. You can't lower a stat below 10. And
the max is 50, right? On any stat.
Yeah, any given stat is 50. Minimum is 10, and the stat cap is now 150.
So you're pretty much going to have agility, even if you're a mage, right? Because unless you want to become like pure glass cannon, because agility is going to affect your defense, right?
Agility is the way these stats are built isn't for people to min-max in the sense of having 50s and 10s. If I think players are going to find if you roll 50s and 10s, you're going to struggle, because I specifically made the curves in the stats such that batting in and around 20 and 40 brings the best gains. I mean, when we release this, I'll make sure that I want people to know the actual the modifiers given by the stats for people who want to, get stuck into it. But you can min-max, you can get 50 intelligence and get 50 constitution, but I think it'll become evident quite quickly. I mean, the other thing I wanted to touch on is I don't want people to get put off by the idea of the, accuracy and evasion. What we've done with combat and the hit chance, we've moved away from a 50% hit chance, which was the normal kind of sense of balance, where like you swing and you miss. We've kind of got rid of most of the misses. And the way that we've done that is each character's got an accuracy and evasion rating, and when they engage in combat, it's a check against your accuracy versus their evasion, and the differential is going to add a miss rate. So if two people hitting each other have pretty much got the same thing, you're going to get in and around about a 90% hit chance. So it's nowhere near as it looks quite simple, but I mean you can make the mistake of thinking it's complicated. It's really not very complicated at all.
Right. Well, quickly explain these attack speed, attack, defense, accuracy, and whatnot.
Yeah, so attack speed is derived from your type of weapon. Different weapon types, so mace, two-handed sword, dagger, etc. They all follow an attack speed, and they all have a similar crit chance. So now types of weapon are differentiated in their effect. If you've got a mace, you're going to hit more often, and you're going to crit less. If you use a dagger, you're going to miss. I think the dagger has the highest miss rate of all the weapons, but it's got the highest crit chance. But they're all kind of balanced within themselves, but they've all got very, very different feel when you use them.
One of the things that I really like about this over Alpha 2 was the when you change your weapons, you immediately see these stats change. So you're going to really feel the difference of the different gear and the different weapons that you're using. Whereas before it was kind of all behind the scenes, it was very hard to tell. So I think that's a huge step forward for us, is just being able to see these stats right here. There's no more kind of mystery behind, if I use this weapon versus this one, what's the difference? So. Yeah,
I mean, the greatest thing I found about it is normally in a lot of games you can look at stats and then you engage in combat and you're thinking, what are the stats dictating about my combat? Like some of our former alphas were like that, in the sense that like you could look at stats and really see how they were dictating everything that was happening in combat. Whereas the way it feels now is you can build two completely different characters. You can build a really, really tanky warrior, or you can build a really, really high damage dagger, and yet it's all kind of nuanced change as opposed to, you know, you can feel the increase in crit chance and you can kind of see the damage being a bit bigger, and you can see you're taking a little bit less damage, but you can't really, I guess what I mean is you can't really break yourself.
Nice bow, Cade.
It's Cade shooting you.
Yeah. It's alright.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to everybody testing it out.
One of the things to some of you guys who are new, you may see that like the UI is a little odd, that some of it's gold and some of it's purple. We're in the middle of skinning the UI. I don't know if it'll be done for Alpha 3, but we have the purple Shards Online UI, and then we have the gold Legends of Aria UI. So we're in the process of transitioning towards the gold. So that's why sometimes the UI looks a little weird. Just figure I'd call that out. Alright, do you guys want to head to the Harpy area and do a little fighting?
Let's go kill some harpies. Everyone's asking about dual daggers, dual swords. I'm sure we'll get around to dual something at some moment in time.
For sure. Any new skills?
I don't know about dual wielding. Any new skills? Oh, loads.
I think the coolest one is heavy armor proficiency and light armor proficiency. You want to talk about those real quick?
Yeah, I'll talk about some of the new skills, which we've added some new skills to the template building dynamic. This isn't a final list. These are getting.
Send us to the Harpy area. We'll fight there while you're explaining it.
I don't know where you are anymore. You're in Valis.
We're in Valis. Just teleport to Gator.
Does it have a name in our list?
It's Black Forest Harpies. Yes, I'll talk about some of the new skills. I'll talk about it from the view of a new player as opposed to an old player. I'll let you guys know which skills are going missing. We've added a new weapon skill called Lancing, which is... I'm dying. We've added a new weapon skill called Lancing, which is primarily a polearm proficiency. We're switching... Now all weapons have got kind of more of a unique purpose, and polearms are going to have a very AoE facing purpose. A lot of the abilities which will have an AoE focus will be on polearms. We've added... Channeling has been split. People remember channeling has gone through a couple of iterations, but channeling was first and foremost the skill behind the damage done when casting spells. We have split channeling into channeling and restoration. So now there is a skill which pretty much fuels a good bonus to damage, and now another skill which adds a bonus to healing. And this ties into what we've done with item properties as well. Item properties, on normal weapons and armor, you'll just see a basic attack and defense rating. On magic weapons, you will see a power rating and a force rating. Power rating is your attack rating for magic spells, and a force is a bonus to your healing spells. So the idea there is, if a player wants to have a more healing focus and a more damage focus, he can do so. Not in the sense that there's going to be healers and damage dealers. There's going to still be a lot of hybridity about who's a damage dealer and who's a healer. I mean, people are going to probably be somewhere in the middle. But if you want to... We actually have implemented now mage-focused shields and mage-focused one-handers. So if you want to really stack up the force and be a really efficient healer at the expense of damage, you can do that. But it's built within the same framework too. It fits within the old framework of our old mages. So we're not taking healing off mages, and we're not taking damage off healers, but you can definitely specialize in one.
Someone said no feather in loot. What the heck, man?
Yeah.
Why is there a lava golem over here?
A lava golem, what?
What the heck?
I wanted something more challenging, but it was pretty easy.
We can go to the Ents area. Are the Ents tougher than the Harpies, or are they all kind of about the same right now?
We can go to the Ent area.
Sure.
They're tougher.
Did you open a portal? Oh, you...
I'm like... Hang on.
Cade's got it.
I'm stuck.
Whoa, it's dark here. Is it nighttime? You guys want to set it to daytime?
I don't use that command to know.
It's
what
slash
it is.
set time, and then you gotta use like military time, like 13:00. There we go. It's better.
Yes, you can have 2 skills at 50 instead of 1 at 100.
There's the
Fishing
ants.
needs to be in depth.
Fishing. I thought we cut that
Yeah.
feature.
Fishing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone. Scratched it.
Oh, these guys got a lot more hit points. Holy crap.
Yeah, pull out some snipe on them.
I'm just gonna relog because I can't change my speed. No, fishing's not being cut. There's this. The reason why the item economy was missing out of Alpha 2 was because we really wanted to
Completely rewrite combat.
we wanted to rewrite the whole thing, but we couldn't do it until we had to rewrite combat first and then build a map which was a million times bigger than the old one. So we've got like we're making our way through our bucket list, but we like the item economy. One of the reasons why the game right now is a bit broken is we're going through the stages of implementing kind of a really wide-reaching item economy, where we very much go for the design philosophy that everybody should need something else for something, and everything should drop something which does something, and everything has to be interconnected in such a way that when we start implementing that, it just breaks everything. So yeah, things like feathers for archery is kind of like, it's along the same vein of what we want to do. I mean, right now we're implementing. I don't think have we seen a anvil yet? Have you gone through the crafting menu?
I clicked around it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to populate the crafting resources for gear, and there's a lot of codependence on higher end stuff, like lots of different resources. Miners aren't just going to be mining ore anymore. There's going to be lots of kind of composite materials which combine to make greater composite materials, and they're going to be drawing those resources from across the board. And fishing is going to play a part in that, because fishers aren't just going to be fishing up fish. Fishers are going to be fishing up different kind of minerals and things from the ocean. They're going to be fishing up like oils and things, and it's going to play into this kind of big composite thing. I mean, fishing draws most of its importance from the vitality system, which is our system which basically governs your players' health and well-being, and you're going to want to keep that high, and a good source of keeping that high is food, and the best source of food is going to be fishing. So fishing and cooking is going to be a big deal.
Hey, Cade, make us a couple mounts. I want to show them how we're changing mounts. I'm going to preface this part with you'll have to tame them too, because I have no taming skill. This is kind of an experiment of ours for Alpha 3. One of the biggest problems we had with Alpha 2 was people just kind of doing hit and run tactics on mounts. It was very hard to actually engage somebody when you wanted to. So what we've decided to do for Alpha 3 is all damage will immediately go to your pet first. So if somebody hits me, Cade, shoot me up. Do it.
Just in case anyone in Discord watching,
Turn my PvP off.
I'm definitely not backstabbing anyone.
So you can see that he killed my horse, and I popped off the horse. So basically, it should be very easy to get gankers that are trying to do hit and run from doing that. One of the things that we've done to kind of balance that, because we don't want you to have to constantly go out and get horses every 5 minutes. So give me another horse. I want to show him the dismiss. Give me your horse, Cade. Oh, thank you. Okay, so let's say you're about to ride into battle. You don't want to go to a stable before you go to battle, so you can jump off your horse, and then you can tell him dismiss. Now, we'd like to figure out a better way instead of off the radial menu, but for now this is where it is. So you can dismiss your horse, and he'll go to your stables. That way you don't lose him in the fight. It also avoids the problem of just a bunch of horses standing around in like a big PvP battle. So, I mean, you could get off your horse and tell it to stay somewhere and then run into the fight, and then go back to your horse if you want to take the risk of somebody finding him and killing him. But also you could just dismiss him and then just kind of walk or teleport back to your stable to get your horses back. But yeah, the fact that horses can die while you're riding them will definitely give tamers more more horses to tame.
Oh, come on, man.
So I think it's going to work out good. It's, you know, it was one of the things we really ran into with the Awakening spawns was that you just get like 1 or 2 PvPers just sitting there and trying to do this hit and run on you. So a couple of well-placed arrows will put an end to that now.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting kind of jousty thing where people can try hit and run someone on a mount. Like, you know, 2 people could run into a group of 10 people and try and, you know, pop some shots off. I mean, whoa. But we basically don't want people field fighting on mounts. We want mounts. What we kind of learned from that alpha was we preferred it most as a means of travel, but I mean we don't want mounts in dungeons. We don't want mounts in big field PvP fights. I mean, it opens opportunities to having.
You can fight from a mount, but we don't want it to be the ideal way to fight. It's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, we want it to be if you're going to fight on a mount, you risk your horse. Yeah.
Cool. What else did we want to show and tell? Oh, we wanted to show the Black Forest Outpost.
Yeah, didn't I? Yeah.
Send us there.
I'm backstabbing an ent. What stunned me? Is Kate shooting me?
Was I shooting you?
Yeah, you're shooting me.
No, you would have been dead.
I was wondering why I wasn't daggering the ent properly. So we want to get to the Black Forest Outpost.
People are talking about this is the end of mounted combat, and you know, like I said, this is an experiment. We're going to see how it plays in Alpha 3. We're not promising that that's how it's going to play at Steam. I mean, we're very responsive to the general, like, overall feeling from the player base. So we'll play with it Alpha 3 and see how it goes, and maybe we'll tweak it. Maybe we'll give mounts more hit points or less, or make it sometimes the damage will go to the mount. I mean, it's really just a matter of figuring out what is the right mix and what is the right way to do it. We just don't want hit and run. It was miserable during Alpha 2, and we're just trying to address that.
I basically say we've just changed tact in the sense that we don't want to get rid of it completely, but we'd rather be in the business of working it in than trying to work it out, because you know, if you go back to like UO, you can't take mounts out of that game. I mean, it's an established thing. That's kind of what it's what it became. And it's kind of similar to World of Warcraft with mounts, and then with flying mounts. I mean, once you add these things, you can't get rid of them. So we want the effectiveness of mounts in combat to be faded in, as opposed to brought in and been trying to fade it out.
So here it is, the Outpost in the Black Forest. That outpost is somewhere around here. So one of the things we did was we did away with the waypoints on your map by default. What we're going to do, it's not in yet, is we're going to reveal waypoints once you visit them. So the game will keep track of what areas of the map you've visited, and so when you open the map, you'll be able to see the waypoints. So.
Oh yeah, I accept mountain combat can be a skill. That's like I said, we're looking into ways to make it work. It's not. With a list of things we have to do between now and actually launching the alpha, we want it to be something we can factor back in. So, like the possibility of becoming a skill, like absolutely. Yeah. We just don't want to go in with it being implemented without being thought through and then having to try and roll back on it.
So with the addition of the Black Forest, the Southern Hills, and the Southern Rim, I can tell you that this game just got a lot bigger. If Shards Online felt small and Alpha 2 felt less small, now it feels just massive. Like, you really get a sense for this, like, the distance. Like, where we are here is a long run from Valis, which is a long run from Eldir Village. So I really feel like we've kind of nailed that. The biggest problem we had with Shards Online was just that sense that the world was just too small. It feels really big now. And I'd say that's one of the things I'm most excited about for this alpha, especially with 2 starting towns. We basically doubled the scale of the game just by that, right? Just by kind of spreading people out right off the bat. Because what ended up happening was, sure, there was lots of land to explore, but everybody just ended up going back to Eldir Village. Or the Oasis, right? It was like kind of binary. It's like if you were in PvP, you go over here. If you weren't, now we have it there's so many more places to go. There's so many more places to hit your bank and to do, it's now completely viable to live out in the Black Forest, because if you need to bank, you just run to the Outpost. So I think that's really one of the most exciting things about Alpha 3. Aside from actually giving it that really deep sense of progression, giving crafters a lot more stuff to do. I mean, there's just so much. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. I really, really can't wait.
There's going to be a lot of localization of drops and of resources. So, I mean, people are going to want to hang out near whatever they need.
Yeah. So on my list here, we've talked about we're going to have 5 world dungeons plus the Catacombs raid dungeon. So I'm repeating that just because there's a lot of new people on the stream. So throughout the world, there'll be the different world dungeons. 3 of them will be kind of like all similar undead-y type dungeons, and there's 2 really cool world dungeons. Well, they're all cool, but the 2 even cooler world dungeons, which we have not unveiled yet, because I think we might have teased one in one of the previous roundtables, but we're still polishing them, put the finishing touches on them. The Catacombs raid dungeon, which people who followed us at Shards Online are familiar with, that one will be kind of revamped and all the drops will be updated. And then you have, yeah, I think that's it. And then, of course, the Founder's Shard, which will be available at Steam. I'm not sure if we'll be putting it up during Alpha 3. But that's really just a, kind of this VIP dance club, weird techno thing. Just crazy. Dynamic camp spawns, so that was another one we wanted to touch on. We've kind of talked about it before, but basically as you're wandering through the world, you'll come up on like a camp of orcs or a bandit camp. And it'll just be like a kind of a cool encounter for you guys to do. There may be some like special items, but we're being very careful to not make sure that like the only thing to do is go look for camps, because we don't want people running for hours just looking for camp spawns spread out throughout the world. So it's more kind of like a cool thing that happens when you kind of come upon one, rather than something that you would go out and hunt for. Fishing is definitely coming back. That's one we'll definitely get in Alpha 3. One of the ones that we have planned, which I can't promise is going to make it in, but we're trying our hardest, is stealing. And so I don't want to get too much into the details of how we want to implement it, but oh well, there's also some new prestige kind of, we don't call them prestige classes anymore, because you don't actually pick a class. You can mix and match abilities just based on your skill requirements. But there'll be additional prestige trainers, right? Do you want to list them, Jeffrey? The ones we'll have at Alpha 3?
Prestige trainers.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look at the thing. Yeah, we haven't talked about crafting.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, the ones we're gonna have right now, names maybe subject to change, but I'll use the ones from Alpha 2 so people kind of get a feel for what they are. There's going to be the Sorcerer Prestige Trainer, who's going to be more kind of like damage-orientated magic abilities. There's going to be the Gladiator or the Warrior Prestige ability, with Prestige Trainer, who's going to be offering kind of AoE / more aggressive warrior abilities. There's going to be the Field Mage. That name's probably going to change, which offers yeah, my shield's awesome. Which is going to offer more kind of buff / healing orientated abilities. That may split into 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's going to be the Knight, who's going to be more tank orientated abilities.
Yep.
The Scout, who's going to be archer orientated abilities, and the final one, who broke today, the Rogue. The Rogue is going to be more roguelike abilities. And then the last one we didn't talk about yet is the. We
Taming.
have got one of. Now I was going to talk about scavenging. Talk about scavenging.
Okay, shoot.
What scavenging basically is, we don't want to try and force crafters. I mean, the greatest thing of these kind of games is that crafters don't have to engage in combat, and we want to maintain that. We want a game where people can basically have full access to kind of the fun of the game, chasing whatever it is they want to do. You golem. But one thing we want to give crafters is a character who wants to hybrid a crafter and a warrior, which has never been popular before in these kind of games, because there wasn't much reason to, because you'd be like half as good a warrior and half as, it just took up warrior skills. So what we're offering is, if you build a character who has crafting skills and combat abilities, you can take a scavenging skill, And the scavenging ability basically allows you, it recognizes your character as being a crafter, and what your character can do is when you go out hunting mobs and they drop certain things that you need. So say you need certain parts to a weapon, or you need certain items to build the weapon, or you need the recipe for the item, or crafting recipes are quite long now, so you're going to need quite a lot of items. So what you can do with these characters is you can actually create like a scavenger type character. So you take this ability as one of your abilities, and you can use it on a monster, and then once you kill that monster, your character will attempt to scavenge the corpse of that monster, and it gives an increased drop rate on the items that they drop. Not on the gold, but on the items. So if an item's got like if a mob's got a 5% chance of giving you a part that you need, and you need 10 of those parts, and you're a scavenger, you've got twice the chance of getting them. So it gives an avenue for hybrid crafters to get out there a little more.
Sweet.
Because it's fun, right? I mean, if I was a crafter and I wanted to make my own Sword of Valor, like best sword you can craft, and you can only get the parts in the high risk areas, you gotta go get scavenging in the frozen tundra, which doesn't exist yet.
I'm still gonna die right here. Let's talk about taming. So now this stuff we're still working out because the implementation is not done yet, but we have some ideas for how we're gonna make taming work with kind of prestige abilities and such,
The
right?
justice of the Guardian Order is swift.
Do you dare talk about
We
it?
do. Yeah, sure. We love tamers having powerful pets. We love tamers having dragons and using that as their main source of damage rather than themselves, because that's something unique to these games, and that's something we want to keep. But there's also a huge problem of like power creep in, you know, if you want to let people tame some of the most powerful creatures in the game, how do you compensate for that without taking all their skills off them? Or we don't want to have a situation with like white worms and dragons where we don't want that kind of power. So we're looking at, and we're means testing, splitting taming into animal taming and beast mastery, which are two skills which have existed in the game. And animal taming, the basic gist of what an animal tamer will be is treat it like back to your profession. You've built an animal tamer and he's got other skills, maybe an archer or a mage or a warrior. Animal tamers are going to have access to pets up to a degree of power which you might associate with being like a companion. So if you're a GM animal tamer, let's say the best creature you'll be able to take out with you is like a dire bear or a dire wolf or a giant scorpion or something. And those creatures will supplement your damage, or they will tank for you, or they will do things like that. They won't be like the monolithic dragon pets which just destroy everything. So if you create an animal tamer, you're basically going to get access to like an animal companion. And then from there, a prerequisite to becoming a beastmaster will require being a grandmaster animal tamer. And then beast mastery is the road we go into where you start having the bigger creatures, the bigger pets. But it's going to come at a much greater cost than existed before. So what you saw before of acquiring like animal taming and like an animal lore type skill or an animal ken type skill, that's going to now basically have the equivalent power curve of having a pet, a companion pet. If you want to go down the route of beast mastery and get access to like the beast mastery prestige abilities, you're going to have to invest another skill to get access to those. So in effect, it's creating a whole different playstyle, which we didn't have before, which wasn't normally used by animal tamers, which was having a weaker pet to supplement your own. So that's pretty much what we're trying to do. So, like, we'd love to see archers with like a pet wolf or a pet bear be a feasible 6 times GM template. And then also have the more invested people with a horde of dragons. Because who doesn't want a horde of dragons? Yeah, so that's animal taming. So it's now animal taming and beast mastery.
It's gonna be cool, man. I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, I want to be literally your character with a really big wolf, and that be a feasible class.
Right.
Or
So
build.
So tamers are mostly going to be like they can get horses for people, and they can have some pets follow them around. It's almost going to be like almost like a little bit on the role-playing side if you choose not to do beast mastery, right? Like you can make money selling mounts and things, but it's kind of like not really a end game combat choice to not have beast mastery.
It's just going to be a choice. I mean, warriors are going to be looking at, when they pick their kind of their base combat skills, they're going to be looking at other choices like, are they going to take healing? Are they going to take like hiding? Are they going to take some resource gathering skill? Because if they've got the skills to defend themselves out in the wilderness from PKs and some of the harder mobs, they can take resource gathering skills and be that kind of character. But it'd be great if that other choice was to take on a little bit of extra damage. I mean, if you take a wolf with you, it's a little bit of extra damage. If you take a bear with you, it's a little bit of extra tanking. It's going to be just as useful as any other skill. But yeah, it does have huge roleplay value as well, because...
Ha! I got a moss farm. Oh, the villagers are naked. I'm just having fun spawning prefabs while you're talking.
No worries.
I got a moss farm. How awesome is that?
Yeah, nudist moss farms won't be a thing. Gardening, however, will be a thing one day soon.
One day. The moss you can't click on for some reason, it's just bugged.
The unfarmable nudist moss farm.
Yeah, pretend I didn't spawn that farm.
These guys must be busted. They don't take damage.
Yeah, I believe it.
It's the invulnerable nudist moss farm.
Farmers are broken. Alright.
Someone wants a question answering before they go.
Okay.
Coloured ores and plate dyeing. Right now, the colour of ore doesn't change for the way that items and ore are related. Like when we said we added over 100 items and weapons and armor, we weren't joking. Like, there's literally a different skin of thing for 100 different items. So, right now the items are individual. So if you create an item, take like a broadsword for example. I mean, this is probably incorrect, but if you take a broadsword and that requires cobalt, like a blue ingot, it's always going to require that ingot. So right now they're not color coordinated. We're looking into. We want to add to this base system of crafting to add an enhancement system, and we want that to change the appearance of armor. And then you mentioned dyeing. Dyeing is something we can add separately. So there will be dyeing, and there are different coloured ingots, but you're not going to be able to change the colour of your gear based on the ingot that you use, because you're always going to be using a set ingot specified by the recipe.
How much ammo tank do I need for a horse? 30?
Yeah, about 30 that and about 30 lore. Going back to pets a bit, did you guys make pets more useful? Are they actually aggroing and not just standing still when you have more than 2 pets and something else to attack? Yeah, we're planning to do that. It's on our agenda.
Yeah, I mean, bugs are bugs.
To revamp. Yeah.
That's why we call it alpha. You know, when we hit Steam, that sort of stuff should just work seamlessly. So.
And this is the last alpha. I mean, once you go from alpha to beta, I mean, a lot of those things that kind of seem like oversights. It's like, obviously, when you're developing it and you're developing animals, it's like, right, is the animal following me? Yes. Is he attacking? Yes. Good.
If the southern hills here look very barren, it's because this is housing. This is just intended for like large houses and stuff. So that's why it's empty.
There's lots and lots of housing space. And the way the dynamic camp spawns are coded is that at the start of the game you're going to get quite a lot of camp spawns because there's going to be quite an empty space. So as those places fill up, it's kind of our way of keeping the barren land populated. I mean, you run into that kind of situation that Ultima Online had. If you log on to a brand new Ultima Online server, there's nothing but green grass everywhere, and yet if you fill up that space, there's no space for housing, and housing normally just, you know, housing takes priority.
Yes, sir. Oh, can't chop my tree. Oh well. Cool.
Yeah,
alright, well I think we've covered... Oh wait, there's one other thing we want to talk about that we can't show yet, which is vitality, but I guess you kind of touched on it. How do you get your vitality back? What does vitality mean? Jeffrey. I think I lost Jeffrey. Jeffrey!
Oh, I tried to like unmute myself and muted myself. Vitality is your character's basic sense of well-being and effectiveness. It's kind of like a hunger system, but it's like a hunger system a little bit kind of on steroids. It's not just affected by hunger. Hunger's your main way of stopping it diminishing. Decreasing the amount it diminishes. So if you keep well fed, and if you eat higher quality food, it's going to offset the loss of vitality. If you die, you're going to take a big hit to vitality. And we're thinking of other ways to penalise it. Like if you die as a criminal, you might lose a lot of vitality. If you die as a player killer, it might do something horrible to your vitality. And your vitality affects some basic things. It's going to affect like your health regeneration. At certain points, it's going to decrease your stats. It's basically once it starts going down, bad things are going to start happening to you. So you have to stay well fed and buy. The more high quality food you can eat, the less you'll have to worry about it. And the other side to why vitality is so important is it opens up a lot of opportunities for what players can do for other players. And one of them is, like, we really like the idea of social hubs. I'm trying to think what the game that did it similarly, I can't remember. We really like the idea of social hubs in the sense that we like places where players congregate, and we kind of want to make them because good things kind of come from it, right? You can't like underestimate how good these kind of hotspots are. So we've added, there's an in-game item called a hearth or a hearth, and these things are required for bards to do their business. So if you're a bard and you want to play music for other people, to raise your own skills for your other barding escapades, you'll need to do so at a hearth, and players will congregate at the hearth to regain their vitality. And bards, when they start prestiging, will also be able to give players buffs, quite lengthy buffs. So not like game breaky buffs, just buffs you'd like to have. So the idea there is to bring people together and just create these hotspots, and to give bards more of a purpose than just sitting at the bank making really annoying noises. So annoying. And yeah, so vitality is two things. It's giving cooking a much richer meaning, and it's giving fishing a much richer meaning through supplying the ingredients for cooking. It's added penalty to death, because you as you know right now in the high security zone, if you die, you can come back and loot your stuff. I mean, it's a good way to penalise safer players and to get them using other players more, and it gives us a great way to penalise people for doing naughty things. So I'd be vitality.
We've redone so many of the templates for the NPCs at a lot of the areas. We just have to completely revamp. I just went to the Oasis in Barren Lands. A bunch of guys are naked. But
yeah, it shows the depth to which we've really redone the item economy when you consider that everything's broken, but we haven't updated yet.
And we have to put it all back together.
Yeah, we do.
And that we shall.
Somebody asked about the resources. Jeffrey stayed up last night finishing those up. There's quite a few of them.
Yeah, do you want to answer the... Alright, so I guess we could transition to the question and answer part. You guys want to jump in Discord voice, and we'll jump off Skype, and we can kind of hang out there as well? I don't know, there's really nobody in there right now, but they might kind of filter in if we jump in there.
Tamers will have special amounts only they can ride, yep.
Oh yeah, Discord voice filled up quick. Okay, I'm going to jump off of Skype. I'll talk to you guys on there.
Okay.
Yep.
Look how many people logged on.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Hello, hello.
Good, sir.
You are all live, so please be nice and refrain from foul language. Although Twitch does allow foul language, but you know, some streamers have potty mouths. Cool. Okay. Wow. There's so many questions in chat. I almost feel like we should kind of like wipe the slate clean and just start. Well, I guess I could scroll up and try and take some questions here. Man, there's so many. Are there news for the community servers? Now, see, the community server admins know a lot more about the state of community servers than you guys do, because they're under a special NDA where they can't talk about the stuff we're showing them. The community admins right now, many of them are working with custom assets. They're building custom maps. They're making custom libraries for custom objects that only exist on their servers. There's some really, really cool stuff coming from custom servers that when we release the NDA on them, they'll kind of unleash it on you guys. It's really cool. We're constantly making the game more and more moddable. So every time we do a release, the game gets a little more moddable. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. We've finally just given them like the last piece of custom maps that allows them to actually make their maps playable, which was the collision, allowing them to build a static collision for their maps. So I really, really can't wait to see what people do with that stuff. If you guys asked questions, it's really hard for us to scroll because there were so many questions. So you feel free to ask them again. I'll take one more question from Twitch chat, and then we'll take a question from the core community or the voice here. So someone said, "Is there no wipes after Steam launch?" And that is the plan. What might happen, at some point, if we go from beta to release, we may open a new server.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, if you guys are in Discord voice with me, you might want to just mute Twitch, otherwise you're going to get like a weird echo. So the plan is for no wipes on the official server after Steam launch. We may open an additional server in the future, but the server we launch with Steam will always be, and that server will always be going on. So opening additional servers will either just support the growing population that we will undoubtedly have. So let's see. Let's take a question from core community. Anybody in here want a question? Merlin, go ahead.
Travel system. You said the world's a lot bigger. Are you doing anything with travel?
We have not yet decided what sort of fast travel system we want to use. We found that it's much better to lean on the side of being careful with fast travel, because we don't want the world to suddenly become small because you could get everywhere. So we're being very careful with how we design it, and I don't know if we're going to have something for Alpha 3. There may be a way to purchase portals between some of the major cities, just as a convenience for people in Alpha 3. I don't think we're going to have the final teleportation system that we're going to have at Steam. Jeffrey, can you correct me if I'm wrong on that one? Jeffrey's not in the voice here, I don't think. Let's see. He's in here. He's muted.
Yeah, he's here.
Unmute yourself, man. Speak now. All right. Well, then my answer is I guess my answer must go then. Pack animals. Definitely something we would add down the line. It's not going to make it to Alpha 3. Possibility of a change character option over log off switch.
You can't hear him.
What? He's muted.
Not us.
He's showing his... Oh, maybe I have him server muted. Let me see.
Yeah, you muted him.
Oh my god.
Why my boss muted me?
You talk too much, man. Go ahead. Speak now.
Dude,
Shots fired.
I thought we were friends.
Speak now. Alright, go ahead.
I'll be quick. I agree. I agree with you. Hang on, let me turn Twitch off. I agree with you. It's better to basically dump you guys in this world and then give you, the bare minimum of what you need. We really want to see how the world shapes up. I mean, if it transpires that the way that the world is built and the way that the resources are distributed and the placement of the towns, and if all these things come together and the distances between places is something which people really like, we don't want to miss out on that. So we're approaching it the same way as we are mounted combat, which is less is more for now until we just see how things shape up.
Go Beetle!
So mages will be able to open ports at like 80 manifestations still?
Not yet.
The only thing that's implemented right now, which enables fast travel, is mages with bind portal and bind stones. Like, that's anything that we have in, so I don't know if we've reached a decision on what we're going to exactly do with that, but we are going to keep some availability.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's something we don't have an answer on, so we're just going to have to surprise you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, we're just being extra careful with it. We don't want to rush it, and we feel like getting the game working and fun and with some good progression and everything kind of just working right is top priority right now. So a lot of the things, you guys have a lot of questions for kind of the bonus things like a pack horse or things like that. It's just that's all stuff that'll come once we have the base core game really sorted out and working correctly. So
how about tools for roleplay sessions? Dungeon Master tools?
So we are rolling out one additional tool, which is going to be possession. So finally, gods will be able to possess creatures in the map. As far as tools development, we'll be continuing that past Alpha 3, but from here on, the stuff that the admins have is what they're going to have at Alpha 3. So, but we do have plans for lots of really cool DM tools and stuff. It's just a matter of getting the core game working. So, let's see. Anything on House Decay? Once you place, is it there forever? So the way House Decay worked in Alpha 2, which we haven't changed yet, is it's based on you visiting your lot. So if you don't travel to your house within 30 days, your house will kind of go into a state of decay and then kind of drop all the items to the ground. It's similar to UO in that sense. We do we have a stretch goal for Alpha 3, which is to change the way.
Was the rate of decay based on their size, or was it a flat number?
Well, we said it's the small houses had a 7-day decay, but that was just because we didn't want to have the world just filled with people's houses, you know, when they play for a week and then quit. But yeah, no, all houses are 30, and then the small like intro houses are 7 days. But there is kind of this design that we will get in before Steam. Whether we get it in Alpha 3 or not is still to be determined. But we're going to separate house placement from plot placement. So you'll be able to kind of buy a plot, and that will not have any structures on it. And then you'll be able to put structures on that plot as they fit. So that kind of opens it up for just not houses, but you could have just a plot with like a merchant stall, or you can have a plot with a guard tower or something. And then also we talked about allowing guilds to have one plot that they can use for their guild house. So designed and definitely making it for Steam, maybe not Alpha 3. Let's see. Do you anticipate that everyone will be able to have a house? You know, it's a good question. It's really one of those things that it determines. It's just going to be based on how things work out. At Alpha 3, yeah, everybody will be able to have a house, just because we just don't have, you know, we're just open to pledges, and it's just like a smaller community. But when we launch on Steam, you know, housing may become a rare commodity. It's hard to say. You know, it's one of those things I'd rather determine organically than to try and plan it. Let's see here. What about the health bars of party members or mobs? Well, we don't have draggable health bars yet. Again, it's one of those things that's just kind of like something that we definitely want to do, but it's we need to get the core game working as much as possible for Alpha 3. So some of those like UI features that we really want to add before Steam may not make it to Alpha 3. The goal for Alpha 3 is to really get a completely full playable game with full progression. And so that's kind of like the goal we're marching towards. So a lot of that kind of like nice to have stuff will come in between then and Steam. Anybody in the voice chat want to take a question?
Yeah, sure. Enchantment and Decay. Now, you had a good system in Shaz Online, but any details on that for Alpha 3?
Jeffrey?
Oh, sorry, can you repeat the question? I missed the first 2 words.
So, Enchantment and Decay. You had a good system in Shaz Online, but we never got anything after that.
Decor meaning like house decorations?
Yeah, you remember the old ones that we had? We had tons of it, but a lot of that was gone. But we will see the return in Alpha 3 and Beta.
It's all you, Jeffrey.
Yeah. Sure, well, I can answer it in terms of decoration. What we did with decorations were, I mean, the old methodology of implementing the decorations was basically they went in as we had them. The recipe went in and the ingredients went in. But what we want to do is that's like a huge chunk of, to us, that's a huge chunk of game content. Like we want people to really work for those things because, you know, going off like the old rare economies and things like that, we want people to, you know, it's not all about combat. It's not all about killing things. It's about whatever people want to do. And the furniture is like a huge thing. It's a huge kind of social currency in these kind of games. So we really want, the idea of taking it out was to put it back in, and because of where it sits on like the hierarchy of implementations, it's kind of something we're going to be looking at between alpha and beta, because now we're like just dumping progression all over the game. A big part of that is the social aspect and the housing and a lot of the decorations. The decorations didn't get taken out because we didn't like them. They got taken out because we just haven't had the time yet to put them back in. So yeah, I expect them all to come back, but not be so easy to get.
Yep.
That's good. And then enchantment, any news on that?
That's waiting to be done. We're waiting on this test to see how these items play out. I mean, we think they're great. But one of the differences to before is right now there's a lot more items, but there's a lot less. The items are a lot less complex, but the range is a lot more complex. So we want to see how people get through the items and see how that works and make sure we perfect that. And then once we know that these combat variables, once we know all this is working as we expect it to, we're going to start playing with enhancing the items. I mean, before there was enhancement and enchantment. We'll pick one of those names and go with one of those. And then, yeah, we're definitely going to start playing with the item attributes. We just want to test the items first.
Alright, thanks for the answers.
Colt, one guy really wants to know if we're going to be fixing the bugs with the collision system. It's something that we want to get done before Alpha 3. It may kind of get deprioritized over getting the game really working and well-rounded. But I can promise you that we won't go to Steam with some of the collision issues that we have right now. But it's playable, right? So it works fine. But we will get them fixed before Steam. Let's see. Well, Sigmund's asking, do I consider those collision issues part of a well-rounded game? It's one of those things you can work around, right? You can't work around a game that doesn't have proper progression. You could work around not going through the wall, right, or whatever. So, it's really, when you think about what we need feedback from you guys, like these alphas are really the reason why we open it up to you guys. We'd much rather just keep it internal and just never show anybody and release it at the end, because it's easier to grow hype that way. It's easier to kind of like, you know, surprise everybody with something awesome. We do these alphas to get your feedback. And the things that we need your feedback on the most is the way the game plays, the actual the skills and the progression and the items and the spawns and the content. You know, things like bugs, we know they need to be fixed. So fixing bugs for things, you know, bugs are always a priority of ours, but it's always a matter of prioritizing it based on, you know, will this bug enable us to get better feedback from you guys as far as, you know, what we need to do to get to a game that's ready for Steam. So I guess that's the easiest way to explain it. Are there going to be any more $20 packages? No, I don't think so. That was actually really just something that we put out there for Kickstarter. And we sold a few on our site, but they ran out pretty quickly. So, yeah, the $40 level is the entry level for the game, and that's probably going to stick around until we close crowdfunding at some point. We will close crowdfunding before Steam. There will be a period where you won't be able to get into our crowdfunding program anymore, and you'll have to wait until we open up like pre-orders or whatever. And then at that point, the people who pledge will be the only people who get that 1 week promised head start. So, you know, and it's also worth mentioning to everybody. Some of you guys might not know. Some of you guys are new that we're 100% crowdfunded right now, right? So every pledge that you guys give is what makes us able to make this game awesome. So, so just gotta throw that spiel out there. And we really thank everybody who's helped us get to where we are. Bingo, you're lighting up. Did you want to ask a question, or is it just your activation typing? Nah. Alright, so Sigma wants to know about mob aggro with all the new skills and systems. Melee needs some aggro holding abilities and parties. So, yeah, I mean, the AI is set up to build kind of aggression based on how often you hit them. And then also there's abilities like heroism here that taunts mobs. But I do agree that there can be some tweaking and improvements for that. Jeffrey, will treasure maps make it into Alpha 3? Will we be able to turn that on?
Yeah, we have it designed into the. Oh, treasure maps. Yeah, we have it designed. Sorry, I'm echoing everywhere. Treasure maps are something which we the basic ones from people remember from the Shards Online Alpha will be in.
Awesome. Are there fruit baskets?
I have one question. So, what is now the point when you consider the game feature complete? Will this be after Alpha 3, before Beta? Or when would you say, okay, now it's the game and we are focusing more on bug fixing and things?
That's actually a very good question. Our intentions was to get to feature complete at Alpha 3. It's just based on the reality of the situation, we're not going to quite hit that mark. I would say when I look at the features that we want for Steam, we're like 80-85% there at Alpha 3. Now there's a lot of polish. Now when I say feature complete, I mean the features are in and working in some fashion. So we're at like 85 to around 85% feature complete at Alpha 3. We are, in terms of like features that are polished and actually like done for Alpha, you're looking, or for Beta, you're looking at like at Alpha 3, we're more like 50% of the features are actually like at a state where they're just done and ready for Beta. So we have a lot of polish to do. That's that period between Alpha and this final Alpha and Beta, which we're calling our Steam launch. That period there is going to be the polish and getting that last 15% of features in, and then spending all that time polishing. Oh, my camera got moved. Was that a good answer, Jorlik? It was a good question.
Yeah, I think that gave me a better picture. The really nasty question, which I of course have in the backhand, is when will you consider the game feature complete for admins?
Yeah, so there's a lot that needs to be done between Alpha 3 and Beta in order for us to consider the game feature complete for admins. There's a lot of tools that are missing, and the modding system just needs a lot of polish. So I would say we're gonna try. We would like to, when we hit Beta, say everything's feature complete and we're just fixing bugs at this point. But I can't promise it. So
honestly, my guess will be that this will happen sometime after Steam. I think you get the game first, put it on Steam, and then work on polishing the admin stuff.
I fully intend for custom assets and custom maps, and maybe even custom UI sprites and stuff like that, to be available for admins publicly at Steam.
Awesome.
Yeah, we want you guys to be able to run your custom maps at Steam for sure. So
very nice.
That's one of those things that I plan to get done. And I think we're fairly close. So, are we hiring artists? Right now we're not hiring. That might change. So you can always send us resumes to contact@citadelstudios.net, and when we reach a point where we are hiring, we'll take a look.
Can we show some of the new dynamic weather?
The dynamic weather. Austin, is there more than one weather effect right now? We have the rain effect.
There's rain, there's storm.
Okay. So if I do play effect, rain effect?
Yeah.
I don't know how to stop it though. Once I play one, I might have to log out. There's the rain. So the way these are going to work is there'll be certain regions of the game where certain weather effects can take place, and they'll randomly start and stop. So it's dynamic in the sense that it won't always be raining in the Black Forest, or it won't always be... Oh, I'm not showing my screen. Hold on.
Will you leverage RTP's features to change the look of the terrain when it's raining or snowing?
Hard to say. Alright, so let me see if I can stop this effect. If I can't, I'm going to have to log out.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I love the sound effects. Yeah, stop effect doesn't work. I log out and log back in. Hold on. What was the other one? You said rain effect, and the other one's storm? Storm effect? Rain storm effect. Just hang on one second, guys. I'm gonna restart.
There's also a light rain effect.
Someone's asking how long the stream is. We're wrapping up right now, taking the last few questions. When the stream ends, the highlight will be available, so if you're just getting in, you'll be able to watch it on the highlight. Just when you go to the page, you'll show like watch last stream or something. So I haven't even seen rain storm effect. It probably doesn't have the sound yet, does it? Like the rain effect has music or sound?
Yeah, there's no thunder like
okay.
sound up there.
Yeah, we're still working on the weather effects.
The normal rain effects when you play it in Elder with the new music is just poetry.
So this one's just heavier rain and more light. Oh, this one has the actual lightning. Okay, so the rain effect that was playing the sound should be playing. Does that sound should be playing?
Yes.
Oh, it's playing.
That sound. You're not sharing the game again.
We need a sound effect with. Oh yeah. My bad. So this one has lightning. That's the difference. And does it rain heavier? Okay. Yeah. We have also our plan for like dust storms. Are we gonna do that one? Yeah. So the barren lands will have dust storms, and you know, once we open the frozen tundra, it'll have snow and stuff like that. So pretty cool stuff, man. Scroll up for TTX1 question. Color palette for character creation. On the color palette. Not sure what you mean by like being able to make custom body types.
I think they just mean dyes for your clothing.
Yeah, you never answered swamp houses.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's it. Is that
I think
awesome?
he means more customizations during character creation, such as color palettes for the character, for clothes, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, one of the cool things about the modability of character creation is that you can add that stuff. It's one of those things that we talked about, adding the ability to choose what color your clothing is when you start. But not all of our clothing really works great for applying color to yet. It's one of those kind of polished tasks that we need to do, is go back and make them take color better. Because when you take something that has a dark color with a default, and then you try to apply a color to it, it doesn't apply the way you'd expect. So yeah, we got some polishing to do there. But that's something that we want to do. You'll notice that some of our clothing is like grayscale if you don't put a hue on it. This is for the admins I'm talking right now. If you just do like a white color and it comes out grayscale, that's something that's designed to be colored. So some of our clothing is that way. You can color skin. Yep. So you can change the hue of people's skin. There was another person who's asking for a question.
Swamp House.
Swamp House. What's his? Somebody say it. What's his question, Merlin?
No, somebody was talking about swamp houses.
Oh, can you have houses in the swamp? Austin, is there housing in the swamp? Or would the foundation go under the water?
I think it would go above the water.
So you potentially maybe could.
Yeah. I mean, it would go back.
We haven't done the housing regions for Black Forest yet, so we'll have to play with that and we'll let you know. That would be kind of cool, for sure. Yeah, I tell you, man. But when once we have all the musical scores and all the dynamic weather in and all the like ambiances and stuff, it's gonna be so awesome, man. I can't wait. It's gonna blow my mind. It's gonna blow my mind.
It's good.
Thank you.
Where's the thoughts of necromancy?
Necromancy's definitely not making Alpha 3. We just had so much that we needed to do. Making it in at Steam, that would definitely be a goal of ours, but I can't promise it. It's one of those things. It will come. It will come back to Legends of Aria at some point. It's just a matter of when. Cade, were you saying something?
I was just saying it's definitely on the to-do list.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just like we really struggle with prioritizing kind of like extra tasks like that, because I really do feel like necromancy adds a lot to the game, but we really need to get the core game working first. So.
Yeah, what about like an established reputation system? Do you guys already have plans for that? Like, so if you're red, gray, blue, you know, is there going to be an established reputation system? I know there's a lot of people that are very interested in that.
Miphon. I think Miphon's listening to it on Twitch instead of on the Discord. That's why he's got that.
Yeah, it's got a delay. Yeah.
Reputation system. No, oh, I got you muted on Discord as well.
Oh my god.
This guy.
I think we might have muted each other for some reason. I don't know why.
More coffee.
Oh, last time we did this, you and I stayed on Skype, and we came into this chat, so we had ourselves muted. That's why. If you right-click on me and unmute, that'll work.
Someone say something.
Hello.
Hello.
And it's fixed. Okay, so we were talking about reputation.
Yeah.
Greys, blues, and reds. We've got a very similar system. We do use a criminal flag. We do use a murderer flag. we're operating a very similar system in that sense. We do have some changes planned to. We don't like the ability to become like a Noto PK. We don't like the easy ways in which the Grey Flag can be manipulated. So we have got some plans to change how the Grey Flag works. Which, I mean, one of the ideas we had was basically when a player flags grey, it's going to exist for some time. So it's not just going to be like this player can be killed by any other player free of charge. It's going to be this player can't go to certain places, because most people who Noto PK and go grey do so because they intend to remain blue. So we're going to make it a lot more difficult for people to engage in that kind of thing. And that goes hand in hand with also preventing people from going grey who don't mean to. I mean, we already have that with the... we've got like a friendly fire tag, so to speak. You can switch that on and you won't hit another player or attack another player. But yeah, our goal is to make that reputation system work.
One of the bugs that we have in our higher priority list was a conflict timer. I don't know if it's a bug, it's like kind of half feature, half bug, but the fact that...
Yeah, it's the second layer of the criminal system, yeah.
You can hit somebody and then they turn blue, and then you hit them again and you turn grey.
Yeah,
so we need to fix that for sure.
Yeah, that was always intended to go in. It's like the second level of artificial intelligence to the criminal system, where it is right now is if you hit someone, it flags you for 5 minutes, and then even if that battle continues on for 4 minutes and 59 seconds, the other person could turn blue, and then you hit them, and then you turn grey. So the second system we need to get in, and hopefully we can get it in like as soon as possible, is that if someone initiates a conflict, it flags that person as the initiator, and if the victim then engages in conflict with that person and they hit them, it resets the timer. So the system always remembers, you know, who's who.
That sounds good. Yeah, and there's some other questions about a bounty system that might be introduced potentially for, you know, to, I guess, similar to like assassinations or hiring a bounty hunter to handle a red or a murderer, or let's say a crafter. But thanks for answering.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. No, we actually had discussions about that. I mean, me and Supreme have talked about it. I think we have docs somewhere of like bounties being issued when a player's murdered, and you can like choose to hand those into a guard or build them up and create kind of like kill orders and stuff. And like we've got all that kind of stuff planned, but it's one of those things that, like, you know, we do alpha, we get past alpha, we head towards beta. We look at each other and think, oh, we're feature complete, let's start working on all these cool things.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys are wondering why there's no animals when I've been running around, is that we have the grid spawners turned off for now. Just because we don't really need the just generic animal spawns when we're testing stuff internally. So that's why the world feels quite empty.
You'd be amazed how many animals it takes to fill a hole.
Yeah, they just get in the way when we're working.
When we first added them, I remember Supreme said to me, like, it's like, dude, there's no animals. I was like, there's like about 1,000.
Alright, well, let's see. I'm going to take one more question, and then we will... if you guys have more questions we get a chance to answer, you can always answer or ask them on the forums. That would be the best way to get your question answered. If you have a support issue or something that's specific to you, that is for you, you can email us at contact and we'll get back to you. But yeah, questions, the forum is the best place. And actually, our community is great, so like if you have questions, a lot of times the community can answer it in Discord. So there's a community Discord. It's not our... We don't run it. It's run by the community. But there is a link to it somewhere. Where do you get to link to that? Not sure. Anyway. I'm sure... It's on the forums, at least. Right?
I guess I can ask one more question. I think a lot of people want the answer to.
Go ahead, Hunt.
Dual wielding. Will it return Alpha 3? Or will it make it to Alpha 3?
Not Alpha 3. It's not going to make
it.
It will be in Legends of Aria one day, but not today. Not today.
For PvP, did you look at fine-tuned player-ran UO shards, or like the old-school original pre-patch servers? Have you put much thought into player versus player on a 1v1 level, as well as large dungeon raids? Like, how does gear affect endgame? And is it going to be easy to gather a new group to battle the murderers?
I'm going to say that our game is going to play much more like UO than any other game out there right now. Even though we've introduced this kind of item progression to like as you skill up, you know, the max characters are still going to play very much like UO in that sense. Would you be able to answer that too, Jeffrey?
Yeah. The kind of catch-all answer I give to that is I think the one take-home from UO PvP that everybody... I think the one thing that sticks with most people that they liked about it... I mean, obviously there's the full loot and there's all these other parts of it, but the one thing I think everybody savors from it is just the way that the mage versus mage was conducted. I mean, the warrior stuff was great, and it was all part of the same whole, which was what made it great, but the thing that really shined was the mage PvP, because it was like twitchy as hell, but it was kind of slow. It wasn't like, and the outcome of a mage PvP basically allowed people to it had a skill curve that was high enough that people could really do damage against people who didn't know how to play, but it was low enough that people could participate in group PvP and kind of get away with not being very good. It just had loads of really good elements to it. So what I'd say to that is, if you think you can come to Legends of Aria and PvP with the same environment and the same dynamics and the same skill curve that you got from pre-patch UO, it's going to be a lot like that.
Is it going to be balanced, like 13 to 27% basis for PvP? Or like how powerful are PKs and magical weapons going to be? Will we see like 40% hits that's considered unbalanced on each side of the health bar?
Right. What do you mean in terms of the power curve of a weapon? Like, what would the differential be between different qualities of weapons in terms of damage? Or do you mean how high the burst damage will be generally?
Yeah, like, are we gonna see like I haven't played endgame in either alpha, but like you'll find that on like each side of the health bar, like you don't want to be sitting at 30% and then get one-shotted. So people are mounting up and running away. You know, you want people on screen battling, and like you need that balance to where you don't want to be sitting at 30% and die. You need to...
Yeah, I know. Okay, I understand the question. So, the way it was in Alpha 2, there was a lot of burst damage. And the way it was before that in Alpha 1, there wasn't a lot at all. Where we're at right now with burst damage is... it's best described in numbers, really. I mean, if you're talking about kind of like old UO style, a mage could take someone down, I think, in like 3 consecutive spells, and then... You know, if it was like a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-1, you could just jib someone, right? So, where we're at in terms of that kind of burst damage right now is that if 2 players got a consecutive like dump of magic spells on a character, or if two dagger classes came out and got consecutive kind of like special blows on someone, 2 people can mess someone up if they jump them. But there's not as much burst damage as to say 2 people aren't going to explode anybody anymore, but 2 people are going to do a lot of damage to somebody. There's still going to be a dynamic of burst damage, and you know, timed heals, and there will be such a thing as burst damage. It's not going to be like a hack away job. Mm-hmm. So the best way I can think about it is it's going to play. It's hard to find a comparison, really. I think like even Age of Shadows UO was a bit too burst damagey. It's going to be like about 75 to 80% as burst damagey as UO. Is probably the best answer I can give, but it's going to play as similar as anything you'll find, I'd say.
I think it's going to feel, for some of these guys who are playing Albion Online, the combat is going to feel so different. Like there's really no focus on Zerg warfare in our game, and if anything, our designs tend to discourage Zerg warfare. It's much more going to be smaller groups. And, you know, the biggest thing you're going to see is a group of people getting together to do awakening spawns, because we just don't create content that encourages really, really large groups.
Good.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
I mean, the awakening system's a perfect example, because those kind of hotspots where you create a scenario where a lot of people have got to club together to accomplish a certain thing, like they're great, but we'd never make that the crux of the game, because when you make that the competitive crux of the game, you're inviting people to go to war with each other. You're inviting World War III, and we don't particularly want a World War III. We don't want 2 big sides killing each other. We want, you know, thousands of groups of 10 people just going at it.
So awesome.
For sure.
Salacor has a question about multiple accounts.
Oh, about the having to switch back and forth. Yeah, I mean, we would like to make it easier to switch for sure. I definitely think that's something that we can put on the bug list for this alpha, because we definitely don't want to punish the people who want to have more than one account. So cool. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for turning up for this roundtable. The highlight will be available on Twitch for a period of time. We'd really like to get it up on YouTube, so we'll see if we can get it up on YouTube for you guys, at least a highlight reel of the roundtable. So thanks again, and the alpha will be opening on the 21st. I can say right now we plan for it to be open for a period of 3 weekends. We're not going to do the crazy patch content schedule that we had for Alpha 2. It nearly killed us, and it really hurt. It really hurt our ability to fix bugs during the alpha because we had committed ourselves to rolling out new features throughout the alpha. So this one, while the alpha is live, any updates that we do will be focused on bug fixing the features that we have available, rather than adding additional. So so we're really excited to see you guys at Alpha 3, and we plan to roll out some updates between now and Alpha 3 to give you like highlights on individual features. So you guys will hear about those as they come out, and we'll put out a really big announcement on the 21st. That's the day where we want to shout to the world that we want you to come check out our game. So
September 21st.
September 21st is Alpha 3 launch.
Roger that.
AKA Final Alpha.
No, 4 week wait.
Thanks, Supreem. Thanks,
All
my
right.
friend.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thanks.
And one last thing I want to say, because I feel like I feel bad sometimes. If you message us, me or Miphon, in Discord, don't feel bad if we don't answer you right away. If you have like a support issue, just email us, because we just I'll come in the morning and there'll be up 3 pages of PMs in my Discord. We do try to answer PMs on Discord when we can, but if you have something you need to tell us about or you need to get help from, email us. Just don't promise that you're going to get a response from us by PMing us in Discord. So
where's your email at?
It's on the website. It'll be at the bottom. Contact.
All right, thank you.
So, all right, guys. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye bye.
Thanks for the stream, guys. Take care.
Bye bye.